All right, so this is how to install your iPad into your Helio Posh Pro head units, or the steps are also the same for the Helio Pro head unit without the camera, also for the Helio Flare and the Helio Flare Pro. So to install the iPad, first thing you're gonna wanna do is, of course, remove your head units from the column. And you're gonna place the head unit down somewhere soft, not too hard, just so you can avoid cracking the screen if you place it on a hard surface. All right, so let's get started. To install this iPad, first thing you're gonna need is a Phillips head screwdriver to loosen this screw right here in the middle. So go ahead and just loosen that. Once it's loosened, you can go ahead and just remove the back plate just like this. All right, so now that you have the back plates removed, from here, you're going to remove all 4 wing nuts on each corner, indicated by arrows here. So go ahead and remove those. Okay, so now from here, you're gonna go ahead and just lift this piece right off, just like that, and you can place that to the side like this. All right, so now from here, this is the screen you're gonna place the iPad onto. So you're gonna grab your iPad, make sure it's clean, no debris on there. This one has some, but just make sure yours is nice and clean. So from here, you're gonna flip the iPad this way so the screen's facing down, and make sure the charging port is facing towards this opening here, so you're able to slide the charging cable through. So what you're gonna do is, when you're placing this iPad down, do it front face first, and you're gonna engage the clips here at the top. So you wanna make sure those are getting engaged. So place it in, push it forward, and then you're gonna place it down. As you're putting pressure forward, place it down. And now push it up and then back down. And make sure to press down on all 4 corners so that the iPad is nice and flush with the screen. You don't want one side more elevated than the other. You want it to be all perfectly flush. So this one is pretty flush. I pressed down on all 4 corners. One side doesn't feel or look elevated than the other. So now from here, I'm gonna install my charging cable to my iPad so that the iPad stays charged the entire time it's in the photo booth. So you'll see here, there is a charging cable hanging down here from this area. So that one, you're gonna grab the back plate here, and you're going to route that through here to charge that iPad. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this through here. All right, so I have the iPad charger installed now. So now that you have that plugged in, and make sure it's fully plugged in, it's not loose. So from here, you can go ahead and put this back plate back onto the front. So make sure to line up the hole here with the hole on the faceplate right here. Again, if you have the regular Posh Basic, you're not going to have this hole, but the steps are the exact same. So now from here, if you notice on the faceplate, there's these 4 screws all around each corner. Those 4 screws, you're going to line up with these holes here where the arrow's pointing to. So on all 4 corners. So I'm gonna go ahead and line those up now. All right, so now that you got this aligned with all 4 screws, from here, you're gonna grab your wing nuts and you're gonna place them down on those screws to hold the back plate down. So go ahead and install the first one here. Now we're gonna grab the other side And make sure these are nice and snug. They don't have to be super tight, just snug enough to hold the back plate down properly. All right, so these are pretty snug now. So from here, I'm just gonna double check some of these. All right, so these are tight. That's all good. Another quick note before we put this black back plate on. These black screws here, these are all pushing on the iPad or pressing on the iPad so that it's flush with the glass screen here in front. What you can do from here is test that screen in the front. If your iPad's already on, you can just wake it up by tapping it like this. And you're gonna wanna test the screen, make sure that the touch is responsive on all corners. And if it's looking good, if it's being responsive, then you can go ahead and place this back plate back on. If it's not being responsive, then what you can do is check wherever it's not as responsive, the touch, and then flip it back over here, and you're gonna tighten the screw where the iPad's not as responsive. And you only wanna tighten it just a quarter turn and then check. You don't wanna over tighten this. That can cause the iPad to put a lot of pressure on the screen, which can then cause it to crack. So make sure to just do a quarter turn on these at a time and then check the touch. If you do all that and it's still not super responsive, then don't go ahead and tighten it more. Try loosening all these black screws and then tighten it a quarter turn each one at a time so that it's putting the same amount of pressure on each side of the iPad. And then try it again, and that should work for you. All right, so this touch for us was responsive, so I'm gonna go ahead and close it back up. So go ahead and grab your back plates, and I'm just gonna line up the hole up here with the hole right here. And also I'm gonna grab these wires. These are the wires for your camera and your flash. So these right here, you can just route it through the hole at the top here. All right, so just like that. And now this part here, sometimes it's a little tricky to close it. So all you gotta do is line up this hole with the hole in there, and then you're gonna move it left and right, so just like that. So it fell down, and you'll feel it fall into place, just like that. And so once it's in place, go ahead and just tighten this middle screw right here. All right, and then just tighten it until it's nice and snug. Check the front of the screen, make sure it's nice and flush still. Okay, it looks good. All right, so from here, you're all set. Your iPad's in place and it's gonna stay charging in there. And then from here, you'll just place your camera up top and you're set to go.